Okay. The Bargain Den, episode 2, Aces. Intro music.
If you're having trouble with your high school head, he's giving you the blues.
Well, hey now, how do you do, folks? Thanks for joining in. Episode 2, The Bargain Den.
The Bargain Den. Donna, how are you?
I'm doing super fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Enjoying a glass of wine, a cheeky little glass of wine here.
Yes, tonight we are enjoying Sheep Thrills.
Sheep Thrills, because that's close to cheap, and it was relatively cheap.
It was. It was a mix of the pun and the cheapness that chose this wine for us tonight.
And the sheepness.
Hey.
Donna, how do you feel about sheep?
They're fluffy, I understand.
Why are you talking like that?
Because we're discussing wine, the tannins.
And sheep, I have some opinions
Anywho.
about wool I would like to share with you.
You asked me. Okay, this is the Bargain Den, and tonight we have just finished Aces.
Aces, and it was a bad movie. Because sheep.
Yes. Aces, 2006.
I kind of want to talk about sheep for a little bit longer.
Oh,
if that's
okay. All right. Transition can wait.
Yeah, I just thought we could do a better one than... No, we probably can't beat bad, can we?
That was pretty good. It was a bad movie. I can't bah.
Can't bother, that's right. Let's talk about that. How was it like growing up without the ability to bah?
Well, it made it really hard to talk to other sheep. I'm glad you asked.
Aces. Man, college is tough, isn't it? Especially when you're almost 30. College is rough, okay? And the hardest part about college is paying for it, So ACE is about 3 college students, one of which is not a college student. These 3 young college students, well, I was going to say they need money, but really only one of them kind of needs money. The other 2 seem kinda. One of them, Brooke, is kind of hurting for cash. So she meets with her friend Peeta from the Hunger Games. I don't know her name. What was it?
It was really hard to hear every time they said. It was either like pay-tea or pie-tea.
Petite.
Petite. I think that was it.
Petite?
Pate. A delicious pate.
Pate.
Anyway.
Brooke meets with Peeta from the Hunger Games, and they decide that they're going to meet with their other friend, L.
Short for Eloise. And Eloise introduces them to the Society of Underground Texas Hold'em. They said underground poker, but which, from my understanding, is the traditional version of Texas Hold'em. I'm not big into card games, I guess, now that I think about it. Anyway, underground world of Texas Hold'em that is apparently sprawling all throughout California. And turns out that Elle is pretty good at it. She made a modest amount in the night out that she showed Brooke and Peeta. Modest, like
2,700.
2,700.
Yeah.
One night.
And so, being lured in by the draws of money, they decide to form a team. A team has been assembled.
And with this team, you've got Brooke, the mathematician, Peta, the Peta, the gadget whiz, and Elle, the other lady. Elle didn't really do much. She knew about them.
She's the insider.
She's the insider, but she's not allowed to gamble. So she's a bad insider, actually. They have a scheme that they're going to pull off to try and best the underground poker world. And that scheme is to somewhat count cards, but more than that, to take some radioactive material that PETA got from her work and put it on the back of the Aces movie title, and then give Brooke these special Clark Kent glasses that have the ability to see the radioactive material so as to rig the game of counting cards in her favor. And let me tell you, things get a little hairy.
I don't know. Everyone was pretty hairless.
I guess, yeah. I was going to say, actually, it really wasn't that harrowing. It was pretty straightforward. So they decide to take the underground community by storm, and they're going to beat out all the dirty old men, and they're going to, oh, we're just ladies. And the men are going to be like, I don't understand women. I just think in poker. And in doing so, they get duped by the ladies for apparently a lot of money. It was never addressed at the first half of the movie how much money they made. But later, when asked about her savings, Brooke says that she has upwards about 30 grand. About $30,000.
Just a modest
Just
30,000.
Modest 30,000 in her savings. So they decide they're going to tour the whole coastline of underground. In Hollywood, they have the map of the stars. Well, if you turn that over, apparently, there's a map of the underground casinos. But then Brooke gets a little bit too into it and decides that she wants to go to Vegas. So they go to Vegas. After a little bit of discussion, Elle, turns out, has been kicked out of the entire city of Vegas. She's not allowed anywhere in Vegas. But they decide to go anyway, and apparently not everywhere is she kicked out of. Because while they're lounging at the pool, a famous poker player sees them by the name of Feng Chao. Yeah.
Feng Chao.
Yep, that was his name. And
I wanted to give him some, music.
Oh, that was music?
I don't know.
Oh, that's music.
Feng Chao.
Oh.
Just we can cut all that out.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to keep all of it. Sees them lounging at the pool and decides that he wants them as arm candy. But they have other plans. So what they decide to do is when they go to be his arm candy, they say, nah, we want to buy in. We want to buy into this $20,000 game of poker. So their Vegas plans have changed tremendously. When they show up at the game, Elle is kicked out because even she's not allowed anywhere in Vegas for cheating the games. Peter Bread and Brooke go ahead and buy their way in, and then Elle has a plan to get back into the game, and by get back into the game, I mean go have sex with a dude.
You win some, you lose some.
I suppose so. Boy, I really thought she was going to get back into that casino because that's what it made it look like. Like, hey, are you staying at this hotel? And he's like, yeah, I got a cowboy hat. And
I got a cowboy hat. You want to wear the cowboy hat? Let's walk back.
Let's walk back. So intermittently, I'm gonna get into this movie's montages, but this was one of the montages. It was cuts between them playing this high stakes game of poker and then a slow walk into the hotel, and which culminated in Brooke winning and Elle having sex with this guy. Not like that was the whole thing. It didn't. It just that it was like implied at the end of that she had sex with this guy. The movie kind of made it feel like it was more important than it was, I feel like, because I feel like I've talked about it a lot now that she had sex with this guy.
That
but
was the topless scene of the movie.
That was the topless scene of the movie.
The only one,
The
which
only
was
one.
almost surprising.
It was a little bit. It kind of led up like there was going to be more topless scenes.
Right. It is unrated.
It is unrated. That's because it was never rated.
Right.
That's a dubious trick. We'll get into that in a second, too. Anyway, Feng Chao says, hey, I know you cheated. I don't know how you cheated, but I'm going to figure it out. Watch your back. So she wins $100,000 at this game of poker. And they're all excited. And then Brooke can't sleep. And so she goes out into the streets of Vegas. And then it cuts to them driving back to L.A., where in the middle of that road trip, Brooke confesses that she lost all $100,000 gambling the rest of that night. They're mad, and they kind of have a little bit of a breakup. The three gang, Brooke, Peta, and Elle. I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. I feel like I've explained this movie far too long. They break up for a minute. They have a bit of a tiff over the $100,000, you know, like you do. And
it's a little upsetting, but like, come on, we're friends. What's $100,000 between friends?
That's basically what it turned out to. In that time, Brooke tries to do a little bit of Texas Hold'em on the side, you know. The three of them now have also been kicked out of the entire underground community, which apparently, that's a pretty uptight community. I didn't know that. Apparently, if you win some, you just, hey, get out of here. They never really explained why they were kicked out, because no one caught them cheating or knew how they cheated.
I have to assume, because Fang made the threat, like, you'll never play again.
Yeah,
so
like
he spread the word or whatever.
You know, they've got their black book of underground friends that they talk to. They finally get to talk again, and PETA has been invited to play a game in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, out of the blue. And this is how they're going to win their $100,000 back. So after a pretty quick, like, hey, I'm sorry I was a jerk. Well, hey, I'm sorry I called you a slut. And, okay, well, let's go to Brazil. So they go to Brazil. That's where it's revealed, by the way. They're like, how much money do you have left? About $30,000. Whoa.
They're like, oh, us too. So together, we've got like $90,000. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So then there's a very long single take of an airplane flying into Brazil. I mean, it was probably about 30 seconds of just one shot of this airplane landing.
Just like doing its curve to go in from the south. And
while basically All-Star plays in the background. It wasn't All-Star. They couldn't afford All-Star. So, big twist. Turns out that Fang set up this game and invited them and wanted to beat Brooke, you know, fair and square.
What? I never would have guessed it was Fang.
Didn't expect him to turn out to be the big bad. Yes, you did. So
I don't know who all's gonna be there. I know this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, but that's all I could find out. I hope it's not Fang.
Pretty much. So when Brooke arrives, Fang shows up and immediately takes her glasses off, her radioactive seeing glasses, and says, "We're gonna play. I'm gonna embarrass you." That's not what Fang sounds like, but that's how I'm gonna.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna turn you into a fool. So that happens, and apparently Brooke got good, and she beats everybody, including Fang. And then she's like, "Where are my friends? You kidnapped them. Please tell me you didn't hurt them. You can keep the $1 million I literally just won off you. Our cat's playing in a bag over by the door. What a decided time to play in a bag, cat. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we pick a different time. How about we don't stop playing with the SpaghettiOs in the bag? Thank you." Anyway, Brooke says, "You know, hey, you can keep the $1 million I just won off you. You just keep my friend safe and let me see him." He goes, "Tomorrow morning, behind the casino, in Brazil. I'm gonna tell you what. My name's Fang." So
It's not in a million years what he sounds like, but I love this.
I'm not gonna do the offensive accent that they made him do in the movie. So I'm gonna give him my accent. So he so it cuts to the next day, and she was like, "Are you guys okay?" And they were like, "Yeah. He just took us to dinner." And Fang says, "I'm not going to take money from a little girl. Way to win." And she says, "I'm not a little girl." And then he says, "Okay," and hands her $1 million. And then they sit on the beach, and, you know, hey, we're sisters. So we're gonna split this $1 million, and we'll be back next year to beat them at this entirely set up game that was made to trick us. And then they run into the ocean, and then the credits roll, and that was 2006's Aces.
Yay!
How long did that take? 16 minutes. We're halfway there.
Couple things I want to point out about this movie. So much B-roll. So
lot of
much.
B-roll.
So many, like, montages.
I want to talk about the montages for a minute. This movie, I have never seen... This movie had at least 5 montages, maybe 6. Cat, don't get in the bag. This is not... Oh, man.
We're gonna hear rumbling forever.
I'm going to put you in the spare room. Please don't rip the bag.
She's so cute, though.
She's fine. It, like, slowly fell.
Well, I do want to take a moment just to say that this particular bargain movie we got from Vintage Stock, from a grab bag. It had 15 or so DVDs in a bag, and we bought the whole bag and then grabbed this one out of it.
They didn't really give us the option to open up the bag and choose from it. They wanted, the whole point of the bargain bag was kind of to take the whole bag.
But what a bargain, though. I think it was
bargain.
like $4 or $5. So anyway, pretty cheap, cheaper than the Walmart bin.
It's very cheap, yeah. So we wanted to maximize our frugalness on this end of the podcast. And so we hoped it would transcend into the movies that we watched. So did it? Did it transcend?
Well, okay, wrapping this all around in a nice circle. I feel like most of this movie's budget was spent with just going to these locations and proving that they went to these locations. Because they did indeed shoot in Las Vegas. They did indeed shoot in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I mean, they spent so long on these shots of the city or the plane flying into Brazil that it was kind of just like, yeah, we went there. Yeah,
And in that sense, I would give it a point towards being a frugal movie, because I think that if you're going to go to these places, that one of the cheapest things you can do while traveling is just to take in the scenery. So,
well, and I mean, they clearly got what they paid for out of that. You know?
absolutely.
Every last penny. I mean, if you're going to go to Brazil, you got to go to the beach. You got to get some nice shots of the landscape. You know?
You gotta get the Jesus pointing left. Big. That's a big Brazil thing.
Yeah.
So I'm
Then
told.
you know it's Brazil.
Then you know. Great point. I agree. I think that's a point towards frugality in terms of B-roll. I think that works in its favor. Now, counterpoint. I want to talk about how the characters in this movie I don't think they really have a grasp of money. And I think that's an important thing.
This is a great point. I'm so
don't-
glad you touched on.
I don't think that anybody in this movie really knows how much anything is worth or how much money at all they're spending. Because at one point in the beginning of the movie, the first night they go out, like we said, Elle won about $2,500. And then in the very next scene, when they're talking to Elle, she says, "I make about $2,500 a week," and I just felt like
Out of 3 nights of playing.
out of 3 nights
And
of
she
playing.
was like, oh, and last night was pretty average.
So just in terms of this
Math.
isn't a very funny topic. It's just in terms of like how math works, and I don't believe that they really knew how much money they were taking in or not. Because also, whenever Brooke kind of gave up the goat, and is that the saying? Gave up the goat.
I think
Okay.
you're still on sheep.
I might be still on sheep, although those are 2 different animals entirely. I don't know if
Pretty
we
close.
might have to have a conversation after this or start a separate podcast, goat or sheep, who knows. But I think that when she gave up the whole cheating game, she was looking for summer internships, and she needed money and still had to call her mom and ask for money and stuff. And then it turns out she had $30,000 left.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, Mom, I'm so sorry to ask you this, and I feel like a loser because I can't find a job, but I just do need some more money like you offered. I need to get through the summer. Oh, yeah, I've got $30,000 in the bank. Let's go to Rio.
Absolutely. Man, could you imagine blowing $30,000 in a summer?
Hot dang.
I mean, I guess you could just buy a couple cars and that would call it good.
Oh, yes, pita bread at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, Petri dish. I'm aware.
Yes. She's, they're introducing the characters. Pita Bread's talking to Brooke and saying about how, oh, yeah, well, my dad said that I could either have a, what was the car?
BMW.
Was it? Mm-hmm. That was like a Beamer.
That's a BMW.
Oh. I don't know cars or poker. So this is a great movie for me because it was very car and poker centric.
Was it car centric?
Yeah, everyone was like, oh, look at my car. Ooh, look at my car. I'm important and I play poker because my car, which is a brand that's important, like Porsche. Or Mercedes.
Oh, those are
I
two
don't
car
know.
brands.
So everyone had real fancy cars, and that was clearly a big part of this. We even watched the interview with the director afterwards.
We did.
And he was very proud of his locations and his cars. So, I mean, I feel like that is important. He purposely put those cars in for sure.
Anyway, Peta was talking to him.
Yes, Peta was talking to Brooke about how her father either would buy her a Beamer or send her to Europe for the summer because of her grades. No big deal. So I chose the Beamer.
Yeah. But in that sense, I mean, is not mooching off your parents a really great way to save some money?
I did love how they played off that hard.
They did play off
like
that a lot.
2 minutes later in the movie, it's like, yeah, well, just ask your parents for money. I mean, that's what they're for. They're basically ATMs. It's just, it was very interesting how much they needed money when they absolutely did not need money at all. Because apparently their parents are all loaded and will just give them money.
I just realized at the beginning of this, I laughed really hard about making a joke about them being 30. I only say that because the movie makes it appear as though they are in their early 20s, probably, like 21.
Yeah, they're definitely supposed to be young 20s.
Mm-hmm. They're super not young 20s.
I don't know how to explain. That's exactly what their characters encapsulate. Is like, they're too old to be asking their parents for money. They're too old. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Brooke is probably going for a doctorate or something. She's not early 20s, but she's meant to be. Anyway, totally different topic. Well, they do often share a hotel room.
They do. They share a hotel room a lot.
And it's usually cheap hotels.
It's usually, well, Brazil was a little up there, it felt like.
I mean, okay, it's like they all had nice pools and stuff, but the hotel room itself was usually nothing special.
True, but they always kept their tops on in the hotel rooms, which was kind of a bummer.
Yes, they only had one topless scene.
They did.
And honestly, I'd say he was even more nude than she was, which is
true.
unusual for a movie.
All he had on was a cowboy hat.
Ayo. So, frugality. Elle always gets her drinks for free.
It's true.
She has found a way to play boys out of free drinks with her mad poker skills.
Card tricks. She was like a magician.
Pretty much. I mean, oh man, a magician would be the best poker player.
Look at my bunny rabbit.
Misdirection. Gotcha. Anyway, so that was pretty frugal.
That's okay. We got one in the frugal column. Let's talk about Peta. How frugal was Peta? She was great at gadgets and getting money from her parents.
Great at getting money from her parents.
So in that way, she never seemed super concerned with the money either. So I mean,
she stole the glasses from where she worked that she apparently doesn't work at much.
Yeah. Apparently not all summer.
Right. I mean, literally never showed her at work, and that was the only time she ever talked about having a job. So that was pretty frugal. Literally just get a job to steal a pair of glasses from them. Mm-hmm. And she uses radioactive paste as lip gloss. I don't know if that is frugal, but hey.
Just wanted to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that they were able to put the radioactive material onto the aces is that PETA Pterodactyl would wipe her lip, which was a very obvious tell. She'd be like, I don't know what to do. Lick. And that
Smear.
was, I'm sure that was audio gold, by the way, that noise. But smear the back of the card, and then Brooke would be like, oh, I can see now that that's an ace. Yeah, that's how they could tell. I do want to say that Brooke's character, the reason that she's needing money is she's not able to find a job for the summer, but she refuses to work as a waitress or anything like that because she can't get a job because either the job is already taken or she's overqualified. Now, that's a really wonderful way, I think, to look at every time you don't get a job. I think I might start saying that.
Well,
I was just overqualified.
Overqualified.
I couldn't, they
They couldn't handle me.
They couldn't handle me. I mean, that's really what it is. When it comes down to it, that's a positive attitude. Let's put a coin in the positive jar for old Brooke there. Brooke, what was her last name?
Tobiason.
Yeah.
She said it once talking to someone else that turned her down for a job.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a point away in terms of her willingness to get a job at just any old job.
She literally walked by a restaurant that was like help wanted, and she was in the depths of needing money right before calling her mom. She looks at it. No.
I wanna just throw a thing in there. I don't mean to correct you or anything. It wasn't just a restaurant. It was a chocolate bar. I know this because it has had several scenes following throughout the movie where they would be sitting drinking coffee and then having some chocolate. Women. They love their chocolate.
I think that's actually another good point to make. In the director interview, he was making the point about how awesome these girls were and like how much they knew about it going into it, and they're so great. And then he's talking about like, I was just really excited to do a movie like this because the girls are in charge. They're the ones who are in power. They're the ones that win at the end,
And the dudes like it because they like seeing the ladies in their bikinis and stuff. He did say that.
Exactly.
That, so.
It was kind of like the whole movie was a mix of like, okay, girl power, I guess. And then like, well, that's pretty sexist, honestly. But,
What else? Who else can we talk about? I feel like there's another character we're like leaving out. Let's talk about Fang for a minute.
Fang. He was definitely the least frugal person of the movie, which he said at the end. He cares more about winning than money. So clearly his priorities are not in frugality.
That's very true. Very true.
He paid to rig the whole last game. So paid all the poker players to be there.
And lose, I guess. I don't know.
No, I didn't get that they were paid to lose, but definitely paid to come out and play.
Yeah.
I would imagine he probably paid for their transportation and stay.
That explains why they weren't too bummed about losing. They were like, all of them were like, dang it. Just real
Brooke's
quick.
so good. Where'd you
of
find this girl?
I know. On one of the mini montages of the movie, there's one I would like to highlight. They had a montage of all the poker players that would be at this big game at the end, and they all had them driving over the same speed bump in front of the hotel in their different vehicles. The first guy was in a chopper, and then the next guy was in a Ferrari, and then they had one guy who wasn't even at the table. I think he was just walking up this dock. It was lined with boats.
Yeah, he probably came in from his yacht.
He probably did. It was really an amazing scene because it was probably, again, about 20 to 30 seconds of this. They started him at the far end of the dock and had him walk the whole way up. And walk.
Well, they had to have time to explain all the games that he's won and why he's famous for poker.
There was a little downtime in there, though. And then also one of the other players, which turns out is the director of the movie, was like called the Shark. And the reason that he is called the Shark is because he has a tiny little toy shark that he puts on his chips, and some say the shark can smell blood. But he, along with the rest of the gentlemen, when they lost to Brooke, were all pretty blasé about it, as he was willing to give up his shark. He said, hey, if you win this, you can keep the shark. And she said, you can keep your toy. And he was like, thanks. And then left.
Peace. Take my money. Hope you have fun.
Yeah, I would say Fang's not a very frugal individual. He also rented out the entire restaurant in his first scene so that he could play their game of illegal poker or underground poker.
All right, so most of the characters, frugal, definitely are heroines. Overall, more on the frugal side. The movie itself, frugal in the sense of getting everything they could out of the budget they had, I think.
I don't know, I kind of got the feeling that it didn't have a lot of respect for money, I think is kind of my big thing. I felt like it taught a lesson of the money wasn't really a central character in it. I feel as though it portrayed some individuals who were in need of money, yet not really taking any steps. Because Brooke was really hurting for money there in the beginning, but she never really stopped just going out with the girls, you know? That's a good way to say, hey, Brandon, tip number 1. Stop going out with the girls. Maybe that'll save you some money. I want to take that back. I kind of feel like I'm like being a weird old dude. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe you don't go out with the girls. Maybe then you'll save some money. But I just feel as though it presented some characters that didn't necessarily have any real connection to money.
You know, I'd say, because you were saying it was like money wasn't a character. Money was an important character in the movie, essential to the plot, but it was like no one cared or noticed it. No respect or understanding of money. Bah.
Quick, the sheep are turning on us.
What do you think overall? Frugal, not frugal?
I think we put this one in the not frugal bin. I think that it really shows a message of if you were down and out and down on your luck, roll the dice. And I think that that's a very, very opposite message. I think you need to take the dice. You need to, don't invest in one. You can get just maybe like a little Ziploc bag. Put the dice in the Ziploc bag. Zip it up. Put it up in your upper pantry, you know, and say, hey, I got some dice up there. I could roll them if I wanted to, but you know what? Maybe instead of that, I think I might just get a job at the chocolate factory. Maybe work some time, get some investments in, and then take that money and say, you know what? I'm going to Vegas. No, you know what? I think I might just put some money down and pay off some of my student loans and stuff, you know?
But they did make $1 million. I mean, after they blew $100,000, but...
They did make $1 million. And then promptly promised to return to the same gambling event the following year. The same setup, trap gambling event that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of tricky. This is tough. I feel like they lived a life of frivolousness. They didn't really have a concern or respect for money. However, they did make some serious coins. Where does that leave us, Donna? This is a tricky case. I'm glad we're on it.
Who else could determine this?
Who else could do this?
Oh, man.
What would Dr. House do? What would Dr. House do?
I never watched House.
You never watched House? This is an audio medium. Whispering doesn't go over very well. You never watched House.
I never watched House.
Maybe don't let our audience know
We're talking about aces right now.
I know we're talking about aces, but I need you to get in House's head. What would Dr. House do? What would the dude from 21 do? Think about that. What would the dude from 21 do?
If we're going to compare...
No. I don't want to compare movies here. This is not a comparative movie podcast.
Right.
We're not reviewing movies here. I want you to get in to that across the universe looking dude's head and think, what would he do? He got the snot beat out of him by, I think, Samuel Jackson. I haven't seen 21 in a long time. But think if he looked, he was also a college student, and he was also down on his luck, and
he didn't have rich parents to lean on.
He didn't have rich parents to lean on, and he also...
You see, you're comparing right now.
I know. I'm just saying, what would he do in this instance? When did that movie come out? Because I'm starting to think that this... I got it. Don't worry about it.
Well, now I want to...
Oh, no. I'm calling Nikki. Hold on. That doesn't work. Nikki, if you received a phone call in the middle of this podcast,
Jim
ignore it.
Sturgess. That's his name.
No, her name's Nikki.
Oh, my God.
Whoa. Maybe 21 stole the plot of Aces because it came out 2 years after. Yeah.
Well, if they did a better job with it.
That's
no
fair.
offense.
What would Jim Sturgess do?
They had a better budget.
What would Jim Sturgess do in this instance?
The actor would take...
No. Jim Sturgess 21 version. What would he think? Embody him. Be him. Hold on. I see you're looking off. I need you to embody Jim Sturgess right now.
His character.
21. Yes. Sure. You're Jim Sturgess on the set of 21.
He would have taken the $1 million and been like, I'm out. I'm outie. Maybe I'll play some little games here and there, but like no more of this.
But we're not talking what he would do with the money. What would Jim Sturgess say? Would he say this is a frugal film? I would say he would say no, because
Yeah, he would say no.
He would say this is not like what it's like. They did not get the snot beat out of them by Samuel Jackson, possibly.
They got taken out to dinner.
Jim Sturgess got punched with rings. I don't remember a lot about that movie. Kevin Spacey's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the mastermind.
Man, he was mastermind in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's like
what is
typecast mastermind.
What is he going to do now? What is Hollywood
Who's going to be the mastermind?
Who's going to be the mastermind?
Who knows?
I guess you take some, you lose some. You lose a monster. And you also lose your mastermind.
I mean, maybe that's why he was so good at it. I mean, he was kind of evil.
Yeah.
Like, he always plays a slightly evil mastermind. Like, someone who's holding you against your will to his plot. So, yeah, it's fitting. Anyway, off of that dark subject. Yeah, I'd say not frugal. I think this one goes in the not frugal bin. It's a close call, but not frugal overall.
I think with 3 votes, me, you, and Jim Sturgess, we all agree Aces is not a frugal movie.
Not frugal.
All right. So now we have Taken in the frugal pile. Taken in the frugal pile, and Aces in the not frugal pile.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. We're cutting through the grime. We're going to get through this together, Donna.
Are we going to keep track of every movie that's in every pile?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Just
It's like if we have to list that every time.
It'll be a fun game.
No.
Like the alphabet game. If we're going to have a movie, I think we should introduce a form here. If we're going to have a movie where we say it's not frugal, maybe it should have a lesson behind it. And what should that lesson be, Donna?
Money has value.
Money has value.
I think that's a good baseline lesson for us to be starting with on our not frugal bin at the bargain den.
Let me see if I can add an appendix to that. Money has value. So take some time to look around at the scenery, enjoy the planes landing, and really take in what you have available to you. Because if you don't, you'll gamble your life away. Aces. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We appreciate it. We're on Anchor now, which is cool. You can find us at anchor.fm/the-bargain-den. Podcast Addict. I know we're on Podcast Addict, which is cool. So I appreciate Anchor, I guess is what I was saying there. Thanks, Anchor. for being cool and letting us, helping us publish in a bunch of different places. You wanna thank the Lounge Kittens?
Absolutely. As always, thanking the excellent work of the Lounge Kittens and their cover of Dirty Deeds for our intro and outro.
Yeah, it's really awesome of them to do that. If you get a chance to check out the Lounge Kittens, they're very, very cool. And yeah, thank you again for listening. If you get a chance to, on whatever form, podcast listening device, website, service that you do listen to, and they have the option to share or like or favorite or applause. That's what Anchor has, is you can applaud. Say, great job at this moment. You did wonderful to listen to it.
Great job.
Thanks again. Man, we still haven't thought of like a good...
Stay frugal.
Stay frugal. That just doesn't... I want some more meat. I want some like... something that like... Just... I mean, that could be anything. Like, that could be any podcast.
This has been the Bargain Den. Stay frugal.
This has been the Bargain Den.
TBD. Get it?
TBD. It's not a venereal disease.
TBD. We actually have decided on the name. It's the Bargain Den.
That's a mouthful. Let's just try to let's work through some here. Let's
I like Stay Frugal.
You like Stay Frugal?
I do.
Well, can we if we don't think of any, we'll have this. We'll just go back and forth for a second and try in some closers, okay?
This has been the Bargain Den with Donna
And Brandon.
Stay frugal.
That's still Stay Frugal.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, whatever. Fine, stay frugal.